What kind of game is this? The king? But I just dropped it. So you really want that game, huh?
Hello and welcome to GamingBolt for another review, and today we're going to be looking at a rather curious game called Past Cure. Past Cure sounds like the name of a remedy that's inaccessible to my current being, like a paradise that's out of reach, a river in the desert that reveals itself when I'm already dying of thirst. In reality, it's Phantom 8 Studios' third-person, psychological, horror thriller, stealth action, puzzle-solving game. If that sounds like an amalgamation of too many ideas, then take heart. This Unreal Engine-developed title introduces them in as arbitrarily, slow-paced, poorly thought-out, and clunky a way as possible. Oh, and there's a mystery, or 3000 to be solved. Where the game's fun actually lies is, sadly, not one of them. Let's begin with the story. It starts with Ian, a scraggly bearded soldier who's stuck in a nightmare with killer mannequins. The nature of these mannequins and the inconsistent textures of Ian's beard had fascinated me. As I gunned them down casually, I ran out of ammo in the final encounter, and only got more by dying and resetting. I was suitably less fascinated after that. Ian has been having these nightmares for a while. There's a period of his life that's a complete blank, 3 months with no recollection of what's occurred. The Void now hosts these hallucinations which Ian can suppress using blue pills. Interestingly, the pills help bring down his sanity meter, and I know what you're thinking, oh boy, a ripoff of Eternal Darkness where low sanity causes me to hallucinate various monstrosities. But no, that's not quite the case. Anyway, Ian is looking to hunt down the people who did bad things to him with the help of his brother Marcus, some guns, and the recollection of a strange woman from his dreams. There's also a bearded guy that keeps showing up. He has no hair on his head, distinguishing him from Ian, but not from the other bearded people. Given how nondescript all the personalities are, the shoddy nature of the writing, and the ham-fisted, self-talking form of storytelling that a million other games handle way better, you could be forgiven for never caring about anyone. Ever. So everything seems to be set, right? We have a psychological horror game, we're going to get right into it, this is the next Silent Hill, and suddenly we're thrown off the rails into this puzzle-rific abyss of blank textures, like Portal's lab settings with even more life sucked out of them. Ian, can use astral projection and hit switches. He can also use bullet time. You also have the ability to sneak around and, get this, use bullet time to sneak by dudes more easily. It's a potpourri of mechanics that are tossed at you, overstaying their tutorial-esque, blatantly one-note direction for far too long. So apparently, our dude's father liked to punish his boys when they were naughty, quote-unquote, as evidenced by a memory within this dream. But hey, at least Isaiah has that memory of that woman who he gifted a frigging baseball bat of all things to on Valentine's Day. Except he doesn't know who she is because that's how mysteries are supposed to work. It was around this time that I suspected the two didn't get an amicable divorce and go on their respective merry ways. And if all this sounds like it's completely out of left field, then I assure you it was way more awkward in the game. Speaking on the optimization, it's really impressive how the frame rate ends up being so abysmal even with such bland visuals and an abnormal resolution. This is seen in the thick black bars on the top and bottom of your screen, just like in The Order 1886. The frame rate improves when there's literal darkness on your screen or just plain white textures. That's not a compliment though, it's just that I was so out of my mind bored with the game so early in that I took to noticing the most insignificant things. Between the horrible implementation of anti-aliasing, making edges fuzzier than our dog when he's had too many bones from KFC, glitching textures, and clipping issues, I would have thought this game ran on Unreal Engine 2. Anyway, going back to the dreams, Ethan plays chess with a sleeping mannequin, and after some pawn metaphors and running around in circles, you're exposed to the other fatal flaw of Past Cure. This game's puzzles don't need you. They don't need your intellect, your participation, or even your passing interest. Click a button, watch the boring cutscene with Iago'S bland voice acting, click a button, repeat. Find a door that needs a passcode, discover a piece of paper with the passcode, press a button on the door, repeat. Hate life and ponder about the punishing games that you'd rather suffer through time and time again instead of playing this mess, repeat, repeat, repeat. The only real interaction I had during a puzzle was a series of button mashes necessary for possessing some dude's mind with astral projection, and that's being very, very generous, mind you. Oh, and using bullet time or astral projection drains your sanity meter, but don't worry, it slowly refills after some time. Why did it have to be a sanity meter then? Well, in the name of Lucifer, I have no idea. Still here? Good, because now we're getting into the stealth cover shooter portion of the game. I know, right? Surprise, cover shooting. Isabel breaks into the hotel where one Dr. Fletcher, who's had some nefarious hand in Homeboy's condition, resides. There are Romanians protecting him though, because why not? And they've got the building all wired up with all means of cannon fodder. There's Uzi Man, Handgun Man with laser-like aim, and oh lord, why does he hurt so much? And my favorite, runs at you with fists man. I don't know what it is about runs at you with fists man, but he seems to have a little bit more personality than the rest of his comrades. Shotgun Man was somewhere in this mess as well. I think he was bald, and not sure if he had a beard though. You're educated in the game's close quarters combat mechanics prior to the mission, which involves flailing your fisticuffs at a dude before executing a finishing move in the worst parody of the Bourne identity since the Bourne Legacy. You can also counter a foe, and I suggest mashing the heck out of that button whenever you can. The small window and poor indication of whether the counter button must be held, which does nothing, or pressed, which seems delayed enough to do nothing, is why. Oh, and have fun with the clunky shooting, which throws not one but two reticles at you for the realistic shooting portion of the game. If the inner reticule doesn't line up with the outer, then your bullet won't hit the target. The former can sway this way and that while moving, but seems to steady itself while using bullet time. I don't know how I stumbled into this grad school student's version of Max Payne, and I'm not quite sure the developer knows how either. So you want to go full stealth, you want to be Sam Fisher. Okay, well, on one occasion, a stealth attack didn't kill an enemy, and instead alerted him. On another, an enemy with its back facing me was suddenly alerted to my presence. The one clever touch I liked was enemies becoming aware when you destroy security cameras using astral projection, which you cannot use to just randomly explode their brains except that one canned QTE sequence. This leads to certain instances where you draw their attention with a destroyed camera and then flank around to execute them. Actually, the flanking part is negated by the fact that you can mantle over certain hurdles, but not others. Still, I'll give some credence to the game for making enemies aware when their comrades go down. I'll spit on it for making my enemies deaf to next-door gunfire louder than the voice of Cthulhu, but immediately turning aggressive when they hear a door close in a cutscene. And no, that particular instance of wanton door-closing rage wasn't triggered the other dozen times I opened and closed doors. There's no option to actually take cover. You awkwardly crouch and peek out to shoot at foes. Here's the best method for winning in shootouts. When an enemy is a few feet away or rushing you, equip an Uzi and gun them down. When they're far away, activate bullet time, quickly pop out of cover, fire one round from the Woodhawk, which is a play on Desert Eagle, blah blah blah, and then go back into cover after scoring a headshot. Any prolonged time peeking out will earn you 1,000,000 bullets to the brain and a quick death. This is on normal difficulty, mind you. If this was to make firefights more realistic, then why did the enemies have such perfect aim while I battle these terrible controls? If this was meant to be more stylish, why is the most effective tactic also the most boring available? Why in the seven hells did I receive the sprint function so damn late? Actually, that was so I'd be slowly painfully forced through the prior sequences and nightmares, but I was just being facetious. You could argue that the tale of past cure is at least somewhat intriguing. However, my motivation to see how this all fits together was undone by the fact that the separate pieces are so badly written with awkward banter, badly voiced with drawl characters, backed by horrible cinematography with at least one camera on the gun cutscene that's so bad it's hilarious, and overall it's just very terribly deflating. I'm sure Ian is a nice guy, but he's just stuck in this massively bad story that's neither entertainingly terrible nor competently handled enough to negate all the other terrible aspects. I could dissect each and every portion of this game, but then we'd probably be here all day. Long story short, Past Cure is bad. Don't play it unless it's for a bet. And even then, ask for the money up front. There's no brilliant moment where all these ideas come together into an intriguing experience. There's no sudden catharsis to all the clunky, ugly gameplay you've endured. The only reward is that you don't have to play Past Cure anymore, and really, you might as well not even bother to begin with. That'll be it for this video. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.